Hi, I got a very nice email the other day from Nuri in California, who had read my blog post about anti-inflammatory foods and was wondering where she could find the recipe for my curried fish stew that I mentioned in the article. Well, here it is today. This recipe is inspired by Thai cuisine. I love Thai cooking, but unfortunately I live in the countryside. There is not a Thai restaurant anywhere near, nor an Asian supermarket where I can buy all these exotic ingredients like galangal and lemongrass. So I've improvised a Thai-ish recipe that includes coconuts, coconut milk and ginger, but also a lot of very normal ingredients that you can obtain in any supermarket or at any farmer's market. This is the winter version. I'm going to show you in a minute. I'm using only winter vegetables, but you can adapt it to all the changing seasons. For instance, in the summer you can make it with peppers and eggplants, and it's equally delicious. The ingredients in no particular order: 1 large leek, washed and finely sliced, about 1.25 cups of vegetable stock or fish stock if you have it, 1 smallish head of broccoli cut into florets, about 3 big salmon fillets cubed, roughly this size, salt and pepper, and a good handful of spinach, fresh spinach. It's much crisper than the frozen. Coconut oil, just a little, about 2 tablespoons, some fresh cilantro. That's the only Asian ingredient that I had to beg my greengrocer to order, but it is quite easily available in most supermarkets. 1 finely chopped onion, 2 carrots that have been peeled and sliced, some fresh ginger, which we'll be grating into the sauce, some turmeric, fresh turmeric, which I managed to find at the health food store. I'll show you. It's bright yellow orange colour, and that's what gives these stews a lovely yellow glow. If you can't find fresh turmeric, don't worry at all, the powder is just as good. 2 garlic cloves, which we'll be chopping finely, a little sprinkling of pepper flakes, any kind of mild pepper flakes that you want, and then some more spices: cardamom, coriander, cumin and curry powder, all finely ground. And lastly, some creamed coconut. I don't use coconut milk because it comes in cans, and as I've written in my blog, cans are lined with plastic resins that contain unhealthy chemicals, like for instance bisphenol A. So I've started buying it dry in packages. Well, dry, it's basically compressed into a block. You see, I'll be unwrapping that in a minute and I'll show you. I crumble it into the stew at the last minute and it gives it a lovely creamy coconutty flavour. We'll start by putting in about 2 tablespoons of coconut oil. It's quite sticky when it gets hard. At room temperature it tends to go solid. And melt this, and then add the chopped onion. Coconut oil is a great cooking oil because you can heat it to fairly high temperatures without destroying the fats, which isn't easy to do with other fats. Butter, for instance, or olive oil can't be heated to very high temperatures. Not that we're going to need to be doing lots of high temperature frying here, because it is mostly a slowly stewed dish. So cook these onions 4 or 5 minutes until they turn translucent. Now we'll add the garlic, give it a quick stir. Don't let garlic cook too long or it'll turn bitter. And now I'll break off about this much, about a 2-inch piece of ginger, and grate this into the pot. Do all of this on a moderate temperature. You don't want the spices to burn. I usually leave the peel on because I buy organic ginger, and I find that the area right underneath the peel is actually the tenderest and the most aromatic part of the ginger, so it's a shame to peel that off and throw it away. Right, and once you've grated about a tablespoon's worth of ginger into the pot, give it another stir. And now we add the turmeric, again grating it finely, and if you're using powdered turmeric then use about a heaping teaspoon at this point. When you use fresh turmeric you can use a bit more, I'd say roughly a tablespoonful. Oh, look at that lovely colour, bright orange. And now we also add a teaspoon of ground cardamom, well actually half a teaspoon of this one, a teaspoon of coriander ground, 1 teaspoon of curry. I don't use very spicy curry, but you can if you want, and half a teaspoon of cumin. Ideally, these spices should be organic because in non-organic spices there have been residues of pesticide that have been found. But again, with the infinitesimally small amounts of spices you'll be eating, you won't be overloading on pesticides. Now, give these another stir for about half a minute, but make sure they don't burn because they burn very easily at this point. Next we add the carrots and the vegetable or fish stock. Stir everything around so everything's nicely covered. And then cook for about 6 or 7 minutes until the carrots start softening. Put a lid on when you do. Now we're just going to reconstitute the creamed coconut while the carrots are cooking. You see it's kind of a brittle sort of compacted material. We add again about 1.5 cups of very warm water and let it sit. Just let it soften in there and then stir it possibly with a whisk or just with a spoon to combine it and make it into proper coconut milk. Now we add the sliced leeks and the chopped broccoli florets. Stir them around so they get coated in the spicy sauce and continue cooking for about 5 or 6 minutes again. And if you get the impression, which I'm getting right now, that it's a bit dry, just add a little bit of water, just, half a cup or something, just to make sure nothing burns. Okay, now we'll stir in the coconut milk. You'll see it's become nice and creamy. And it doesn't need to cook long. In fact, the less you cook it, the fresher it tastes. Now, when you get to this stage, you could actually just remove this from the heat, let it cool and chill it until you're ready to use it. You can even make a double batch, for instance, and freeze some of it, which is what I sometimes do. But today we're going to actually just complete the dish. Now, I will bring this briefly back to the boil because we're also going to be cooking the spinach, which I've coarsely chopped. It really doesn't need to cook long, it just needs to wilt, so maybe 1 or 2 minutes. And then we're ready to season the soup base, and finally we'll add the salmon. Now the spinach is wilted, so we're going to just grate a little bit of lemon zest in there. This is my Sheets lemongrass substitute. Obviously it's not exactly like the real thing, but it works quite nicely. We'll also just squirt a bit of lemon juice in there to wake the flavours up a little. A bit of acidity always works nicely. One ingredient I forgot to mention earlier is a bit of Thai fish sauce. I just put in just a few squirts of that. It's very rich in umami, which is that lovely rich flavour we try to get into our dishes. Now, a bit of salt, sea salt, and let's give this a taste. A bit more salt and a little more lemon. Make sure you get the seasoning right, because once you've got the fish in, you don't want to stir very much. So do all the seasoning now, get it out of the way. And if you like it spicy, you can add a bit of chili sauce. Not too much though, because that would overshadow the fish flavour. Lovely. Now when you're happy with the way the soup tastes, plop the fish cubes in and submerge them gently. Don't stir this with any degree of vigour because it will cause the fish to break apart. Just submerge it into the hot soup and cook this for another, 3 or 4 minutes on a very gentle heat, so that the fish is really just supposed to settle and seize up, but not get dry and overcooked. There we go. Once the fish has firmed up, just sprinkle with the coarsely chopped cilantro, and then you're ready to serve. Be very careful when you're lifting this out. If you like something that's close, more resembling a soup, just add a little bit more liquid. I prefer the stew texture myself, so I'm leaving this fairly thick. There we go. And a bit of carrot. And another sprig of cilantro. And there you go. If you've enjoyed this video, do check out my other videos on my YouTube channel and visit my website, which is www.zestforlifediet.com, where you can also contact me by clicking on the author tab. This recipe is actually not in Zest for Life, but if you'd like a copy of it sent to you, please email me and I'll send you a copy of the recipe. This is a really versatile stew. We've made it with fish, but you can also use chicken breast or duck breast, for instance, cut into thin slices, cubes of tofu, or even legumes like edamame or chickpeas. If you make this at home, do let me know how it went and send me your suggestions for possible variations that I hadn't thought about. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, do let me know. You can contact me by going to the website of my book, Zest for Life, which is www.zestforlifediet.com, and clicking on the author tab. The website also has my blog and photos of Zest for Life dishes, so I hope you'll find it useful. Thanks for watching.